Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to be here today to share with you a guide to classroom management, specifically focusing on coping with crises. My name is Rob Plevin, and in this presentation, we'll explore practical strategies to handle challenging situations in the classroom. Over the next few slides, we'll cover key techniques to maintain control, support students, and turn crises into learning opportunities. Let's get started. Recognize signs early to prevent outbursts. It's really important to stay alert to the subtle cues that signal someone is heading towards a crisis. By noticing these early warning signs, we have a better chance of intervening before things escalate. Remember, there is always a trigger. Whether it's a certain situation, a specific comment, or even a feeling of frustration, something sets it off. These outbursts don't just happen out of nowhere. They are the result of a buildup that's been overlooked. Crises don't just happen. They are the culmination of unmet needs, unaddressed emotions, or unresolved issues. Understanding this connection helps us be more prepared and proactive, which is essential in managing and preventing these challenging moments. All right, let's take a closer look at the stages of a crisis. First, we have the trigger stage, which is when an initial event or situation sparks concern or unease. This is often the first sign that something might be brewing. Next, we move into the distress stage, where the situation starts to escalate and emotions or tensions begin to rise. This is a critical point because it's often when people feel overwhelmed or unsure of what to do next. Finally, we reach the crisis stage, which is the most intense phase. At this point, actions are urgent, and the risk of escalation is high. That's why it's so important to recognize these stages early and intervene effectively to prevent escalation. Remember, understanding these stages helps us respond proactively rather than reactively, keeping situations from spiraling out of control. Vigilance is the key to prevention. It's really about staying alert and paying close attention to the little signs that might indicate something going on. Look for changes in mood and actions. These can often be subtle but important clues. If you notice someone acting differently than usual, it's worth taking a moment to check in. Remember, triggers don't always happen inside the classroom. Many occur outside, in the hallways, during breaks, or even at home. That's why being attentive to those external factors is just as crucial. Spotting the triggers is all about being aware and perceptive. When we're vigilant, we can recognize the early signs and intervene before things escalate. It's about creating a safe environment by catching those triggers early and understanding what might set someone off. So, staying observant and proactive helps us prevent problems and supports a positive, safe space for everyone. When someone refuses a request, it can often be accompanied by certain nonverbal cues that give us clues about how they're feeling. One common indicator is rigid body language, where a person might appear stiff or tense, signaling discomfort or resistance. Sometimes, instead of engaging, a person might become passive or withdrawn, avoiding eye contact or giving short, closed-off responses. Restlessness and fidgeting are also important signs. These behaviors suggest anxiety or unease, especially when combined with other cues. Additionally, signs of distress, such as facial expressions of worry or frustration, can reveal that someone is feeling overwhelmed or upset. Recognizing these signs is crucial because they help us understand underlying emotions and reactions, which is essential for effective communication and support. These cues tie into the overall theme of understanding nonverbal communication, helping us better interpret what someone might not be able to say with words. Now, one of the most effective strategies when dealing with stage 1 is to offer an escape route. What I mean by that is, if you sense the audience or the individual is starting to become disengaged or confrontational, you want to change the activity to re-engage them. This could be as simple as shifting the topic slightly or introducing a different type of interaction. Using diversion and diffusion tactics is also key here. These tactics help to steer the conversation away from conflict or discomfort, diffusing tension before it escalates. For example, you might acknowledge their point and then gently redirect the focus to a more neutral or positive aspect. Remember, dealing with stage 1 is all about early intervention. Your goal is to keep the situation from escalating by creating a mental or physical escape route. This keeps the environment safe, keeps the dialogue productive, and ultimately helps you maintain control. Connecting this to the overall theme, it's about managing the situation calmly and professionally before it becomes more challenging. Let's take a moment to look at this fun example. Put my favorite chair down, please. It can't stand heights. Now, at first glance, it sounds like a simple request, but it actually reveals something interesting about how humor works. When we use humor, especially in a presentation or conversation, it can quickly change someone's internal state. It shifts their mood, relaxes tension, and makes them more receptive. Humor is a terrific diffuser because it breaks down barriers and creates a sense of connection. It helps us engage our audience on a more personal level and eases any anxiety or resistance they might have. This slide emphasizes the power of humor. It's not just about making people laugh, but about using it strategically to enhance communication. Remember, incorporating humor can be a valuable tool in your overall presentation strategy because it makes your message more memorable and relatable. So, next time you're feeling the pressure, think about how a well-placed joke or light-hearted comment can positively influence your audience. Let's explore the power of communication with this slide. When I say, "Tell me what's wrong and I may be able to help," what I really mean is that creating an open and trusting environment is key. When team members feel safe sharing their concerns, it opens the door for us to find solutions together. Then there's the phrase, "Talk to me, tell me what's wrong and I'll listen." Listening actively is such a vital skill. It shows that you genuinely care and are willing to understand what's going on beneath the surface. And finally, "I can see that something is wrong." Sometimes, issues aren't directly voiced, but they're visible through body language or tone. Recognizing these signs allows us to step in early and address concerns before they escalate. This set of phrases forms what I like to call the magic script. It's about creating a space where honest communication can flourish, which is fundamental to building trust and resolving conflicts effectively. Remember, the overall goal is to foster open dialogue so that problems are addressed swiftly and constructively, strengthening our team and our projects. Stay calm, don't fire with fire. When someone is upset, it's tempting to match their intensity, but that often escalates the situation. Instead, try to remain composed. Low-level destruction can start with minor things like harsh words or dismissive gestures, which might seem small, but can really fuel the conflict. Aggressive body language, such as clenched fists or glaring, can also escalate tensions without us even realizing it. And of course, verbal abuse and shouting are the most obvious signs of distress, signaling that someone is overwhelmed and needs support, not escalation. This stage, stage 2, distress, is crucial because it shows the conflict is intensifying. By understanding these signs, we can better manage our reactions and help de-escalate the situation before it spirals out of control. Remember, staying calm and composed can make all the difference in turning a tense moment into a constructive dialogue. All right, now it's your choice. You can sit at the front if you'd like to stay engaged or take 2 minutes outside to gather your thoughts. Which do you prefer? Remember, when we're dealing with situations like this, it's best to avoid arguments because that can make you the target. Instead, offer clear, limited options to help guide the decision-making. This approach is especially important when managing stage 2, where emotions can start to run high. By giving simple choices, you maintain control and keep the situation calm. It's all about steering the interaction in a way that's respectful and constructive, which ties back to our overall goal of effective communication and conflict management. A supportive approach has a better chance of diffusing difficult situations, because when we focus on support rather than punishment, we create a safer and more respectful environment. It's important to always follow school policy for safety, making sure that everyone stays protected. The main goal here is to take the pressure out of the situation, helping the student feel heard and understood instead of feeling attacked. Supporting students rather than punishing them encourages positive behavior and helps build trust. Remember, supporting over punishment can turn challenging moments into opportunities for growth and learning, which aligns with our overall aim of creating a positive school climate. Success starts with relationships, and that's really the foundation of everything we do. When we prioritize building strong, positive relationships with our students, we create an environment where they feel valued and understood. This sense of connection is what helps prevent many issues before they even start. Valuing all pupils is essential. Every student brings something unique to the table, and recognizing that helps foster an inclusive and supportive classroom. When students feel appreciated for who they are, they're more engaged and motivated to succeed. Preventive strategies are also key. Instead of only reacting to problems, we focus on creating routines and expectations that minimize disruptions and misbehavior. This proactive approach makes the classroom a more predictable and safe space for everyone. Being organized might seem simple, but it's crucial. When we have clear plans, routines, and materials ready, it reduces confusion and chaos, allowing us to focus more on teaching and less on managing disorder. And creating a calm classroom environment is the icing on the cake. A peaceful, organized space helps students feel safe and ready to learn. It encourages focus and reduces anxiety, making it easier for everyone to thrive. So remember, success really does start with relationships. When we value our students, implement preventive strategies, stay organized, and foster a calm classroom, we set the stage for a positive, productive learning environment.